Welcome back to our video interview series with Dr. John DeGarmo. We're so excited to have you back with us today. And today we're going to talk about some of the fun stuff. We're going to talk about some of the rewards of fostering and some of the unique challenges, particularly when it comes to working with behavior issues and things like that. But I would love to start with just some of the unique rewards of fostering. Making a difference in a child's life is obviously one of the ones that we think about the most. So I'd love to hear some of your personal experience there.
Well, it's a great question. Foster parenting to me has been the hardest thing I've ever done. At the same time, it's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Every child, 60 plus kids, everyone has made me a better husband, better parent, a better spouse, a better member of the community, just a better person overall. I've learned from so many children. It's never dull. Every day is an adventure of learning. I've had so much love and so much joy coming to my home. I really believe a foster parent's heart's like a quilt with all these patches all over it. I'm an emotional cripple now. I mean, I cry at the drop of a hat. You show me a sad commercial, I'm already in tears thinking about it. Oh my gosh, because of all the heartbreak. At the same time, all the love and the joy. But yeah, there are challenges as well, to be sure. But I want to say this. I often tell foster parents that years from now, the children may not remember our names, but they may not remember our faces, but they will remember that for a time in their life, and maybe just the only time in their life, somebody loved them. And that's a gift that we give to these children, and it's a gift that we receive as well.
Yes, I often think that when potential foster parents are thinking about becoming a foster parent, they don't anticipate or expect, you're still going to go on vacations, you're still going to have holidays, you're going to have fun, and you're going to have a lot of joy in your home. And, something else that I think about speaking with you, Dr. John, is the importance of a male role model a lot of times to these children. Can you speak to that, from your personal experience, how that's really been something that, you walk away with as a role model and mentor?
I agree. Sadly, there's a disappearance of father figures in America. We see it every day in all walks of life. So I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm a role model to these children, not only of what a father figure is like, so when they become a father, but how a husband should treat a wife, whether for the boys or for the girls. I'm an example for those girls of how they should treat their wives and how I treat my own daughters. And I'm an example to those boys about how a male should treat his own spouse. So I take that responsibility very, very seriously.
That's great. That's a unique perspective too.
These kids they're listening to everything that we say, and they're watching everything that we do. As foster parents, we're under the microscope, and not only are we examples to the children, we're also examples to the birth parents. Because these birth parents are watching me to see how I treat their own children, to be a parent, and to my own wife, because perhaps they're in a difficult relationship. Perhaps they don't know. Perhaps they never had good examples of parents in their own lives. So we're example for both.
Right, and I know you've mentioned in some of our previous interviews that you've had children come into your home who are really young adults. These are folks who are 17, 18 years old, and they're already, beginning to look at what an adult role model would be. And I think that's a really important perspective too. Not all children that come through foster care are going to be toddlers, so they may be entering your home with a host of issues or experiences that we have to be sensitive to.
Yes. This time last year, I had 3 seniors, high school seniors in my house, all from different walks of life, and they all were different.
Hormones.
Yeah, it was fun watching them all go on that path of graduation. They were all coming from 3 different angles. They all ended up in graduation at the same time. That was fun, but my gosh, it was crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a rewarding experience to kind of walk through those milestones with them.
Yeah. And here's another reward. Watching a child learn how to smile. Watching a child learn how to laugh for the first time because they've had so much abuse. Watching a child learn how to trust somebody else. those are rewards too.
Yeah, absolutely. And interact with one another. I'm sure that socialization is something that sometimes we think about, and sometimes we see children come through in a sibling group, but sometimes that's not the case. And then
Right.
they get put into a larger family dynamic. And so I'm curious too about how you sort of see that play out, either with biological children interacting with foster children or a group of foster children together. Yeah.
Well, there's sibling rivalry in every family, and there can be sibling rivalry between my own biological children and the foster kids, or my own biological children themselves when you have kids in foster care. That's always normal.
Mhm.
But at the same time, my own children, my own biological children, my own adopted children, I think they have learned over these 16 years the importance of helping other people, the
Mm.
importance of serving other people. They have seen a walk of life that their peers don't understand or get. They have more compassion
Mm.
towards their own peers. When they see somebody struggling in school, they have insight that they've lived. My own kids have lived in their own home that so many others don't have. So I think that's a strength for them.
Mhm.
And then there's always the wonderful aspect of play therapy when these children interact together and play together. There's a lot of healing. There's a lot of healing. And the children from foster care in my own home, they're able to learn socialization, communication skills as they interact with my own kids. So that's great too.
Yeah, and I think something that we don't often talk about is what we can learn from these children. I think learning vulnerability, courage, resilience, these are the things that we're really seeing that get reflected back to us, watching it play out from their experience too. And I'm curious, you are a wealth of resource on your website. If for folks who don't know, there are tons of web resources from the Foster Care Institute and Dr. John. But I really wanted to get into some of the specifics about anger issues, sleep disturbances, the biting, stealing, lying, all of these kinds of things that we're not really sure how to deal with. And when they come through our doors as foster children, what are some of the resources and things that we can look to for answers?
Well, that's hard. I recognize within the first 20 minutes of my very first placement that I was not prepared for the children coming in my house. I went through the training. I had 3 kids of my own. I had a college degree. I've been teaching as a high school teacher for years. My wife had a degree in psychology, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared for some of the challenges. Every time a child comes into my home, they're bringing their own unique set of anxieties, challenges, disorders, problems, whatever it may be, difficulties. So learning doesn't stop as a foster parent. And that's why I've created at the Foster Care Institute a large library of online training webinars about these things, about what do you do when a child continues to steal in your home, or is biting, or is hoarding food, or has eating disorders, or is wetting the bed, or is lying, fire starting, whatever it may be. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of resources out there for foster parents in that regard. So that's why I've tried to create these resources for foster parents to go to anytime. Because for me, when that child comes to my house for the first time who was a food hoarder, I thought, oh my goodness, how do I do this? Where do I go to learn about this? And I need to know the information right now because it's 10:30 at night and, whatever it may be. Anger issues as well. Yeah, learning doesn't stop as foster parents. Every child's going to come in with their own unique set of challenges. And that's part of the adventure, though.
Okay. And, what can you say about just sort of, I think a lot of times when you're thinking about a placement, maybe you haven't had your first placement yet. You're a new foster parent, you're really excited, you get the phone call, and maybe you have a gut feeling that this isn't the right placement for you. What should you sort of ask yourself, talk to your spouse, things like that? Tell us a little bit about how you know whether a placement is going to be a good fit for you and your family.
Oh, that's a great question. I love questions. In fact, in my book, The Foster Parenting Manual, I've got a list of questions that I ask the caseworker every time I get that phone call. I have to determine, as a foster parent, and we all need to, foster parents have to determine very, very quickly, is this the right placement for my family at this time? Can I provide what this child needs? Do I have the resources available for this child? Because there are those times when we can't. It's okay to say no to a placement. So I have to figure out pretty quickly, will this child fit in my family at the right time? Is my family the best fit for this child? And if not, it's okay to say no, because I do know this. If I say no to this placement, there's going to be another child coming right away that's going to need me. And some foster parents feel guilty about saying no. In fact, I did. I did for the longest time. I felt guilty about saying no. I thought, I can't let this child down. But then I also had to think about, well, how about the other children in my house? Is this going to be a good placement for all involved? Will my family be safe? Can I get the child what he really needs? Or is that child better off in a different family because I can't provide what that child needs?
Right.
That's okay. That's okay.
Right. And, the other piece of that, or the other end, may be someone who's waiting for a long time for a placement. And I think what they don't see is that what's happening behind the scenes is really looking for a perfect match. It's sort of a matchmaking process that happens behind the scenes where the agency that you're working with is really trying to ensure that it's the best fit for everybody involved, so that there's not a lot of transition. Can you talk about some of the time frame? Have you had placements? Have you had a great deal of time in between when you're waiting, or they happen pretty quickly? Some of the variations there.
Well, we've had children in our homes for as little as 1 day, for as long as 2 years. Many times we've had phone calls in the middle of the night. Will you take another child? We know you already have 3, 4, 5. Will you take another one, because there's not enough placements? And sometimes we may go, a little bit of time in between. And that's okay when that happens, because we can recharge those batteries, so to speak. It's really different in every area of the country. Some areas have less of a need for foster parents because there's so many. And some areas have very little foster parents, and there's really a need. I've talked to foster parents who have not had a phone call in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and I tell them, embrace that, because the phone call's coming soon. So band down the hatches and get ready for the next one.
Right. Yeah, that's what we like to tell folks, is don't get discouraged. It's often really a matter of getting the right, most, best possible fit, but also, really thinking through the needs of that child and what's going to be the best long-term placement. So I want to end on a positive note. And so if there's anything else that you can speak to about really working collaboratively with teachers, community members, I think that's something that we haven't touched on yet, is all of the folks who come together with a successful placement.
Well, you're absolutely right. In fact, I've got a book called Helping Foster Children in School, and I really believe schools can come together. My book, The Church in Foster Care, is about how faith-based organizations and people of all faith can come together in what I think is the next great mission field in the United States, and that's in our own backyards. People of faith do not have to go overseas, and I've done that. I've done that for 4 years. But they can find families and children in need right there in their own community. And so the government can't do it by itself. People of faith, teachers, civic leaders, community organizations can all come together in some way. I firmly believe not everybody can be a foster parent, but everybody can help in some way, whether it is providing meals or school supplies, providing clothes or gifts at holidays, being a tutor, a mentor, helping foster parents with meals, with transportation. There are so many ways people and organizations can help the children in foster care without having them live in their own home.
And do you find that when you reach out to a child's teacher, they are receptive? Is it something that's new to them? Do you have to sort of educate them along the way, or are they pretty open to your unique challenges as a foster parent, a foster family?
What a great question. Before I was a foster parent, I was a teacher, and I had no clue. Yep. I had no clue about children in foster care. I had misconceptions.
Yeah.
I had those misconceptions that most teachers do. And I recognized very quickly when I became a foster parent that, oh my goodness, my fellow teachers, they don't know what's going on, because there's no training for teachers about foster care. There's no resources available for them. In fact, that's why I wrote the book, Helping Foster Children in School, for teachers. So many times I have to educate those teachers, if you will, and provide them information and insight about what these children are going through. Because school is the last place a child in foster care wants to be. They're not thinking about math or spelling words or reading Romeo and Juliet. They're thinking about survival. And teachers don't appreciate that or understand that. But when I do share that with them, it's like an aha moment for them. Oh, I didn't know. Okay, all right.
Right, right. Wow, that's a really valuable tool. And I think they have a resource in you too, just as not only as an author, but just as an experienced foster parent, somebody who can sort of say to them, I've lived this day in and day out for 16 years and want to walk you through it. So the world needs more of that. And we're so overjoyed again to have your expertise and your experience here with us. Excited to get into more topics next time. We thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk with you very soon. Thanks, Dr. Job.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.